Welcome to the Black Women Will Save Black Women, the podcast where we support, amplify, validate, and elevate Black women always. I'm your host, Kamika Dillard, and this is our sanctuary, a space built on the belief that when Black women show up for each other, we don't just survive, we save. This is more than a podcast, it's a movement. So let's get into it. For this week's Fail Forward Files, I want to share something that I used to hold a lot of shame around. I have never left a job voluntarily. Never. I've been working for some company since I was 16 years old, collecting me a little W-2. And I have never written a resignation letter, a 2-week notice. I've never rage quit, because that's also a thing. White men get to do that. I've never done none of these things. And why did I decide to share this with you? You know, like I said, I used to hold a lot of shame behind this because I would be like, oh, something's wrong with me. I was rejected. I was broken. A lot of that goes into my whole abandonment issues. I'll share that for another episode around my adoption, etc. But sometimes I realized that I wasn't moving fast enough. I had outgrown those jobs and I was just really holding on for the sake of holding on, not knowing and realizing that I was probably resisting my purpose. So as I reflect on this time of being laid off, I'm really trying to figure out why God moved me the way that he did. I've shared before, I've been with that job for almost 7 years. It was with my quote unquote dream company, but once again, who dreams of labor? But you know, when I was let go, I spent my first 2 months just literally in a daze, rolling around on the floor, being sad, depressed, anxious, angry, never fully expressing all my emotions that I was feeling. But as I get deeper into this period and become more reflective, you know, I'm really trying to figure out, and I'm really believing that God moved me for a reason. So I share all this to say, as you're going through your own season of being moved without permission, because we did not ask for this, I encourage you to really express, feel, grieve, so that you can start moving closer to your purpose sooner than later. What encourages me for every involuntary movement is that I've always leveled up, whether it's been more money, better position, better lifestyle. The level up has came. So take that lesson with you if you're feeling a little discouraged about this period of why did I get laid off? Why did this happen? Just know the level up is coming, sis. I'm Kamika Dillard, certified ACC professional coach and CEO of S.A.V.E Forward Coaching. At S.A.V.E Forward Coaching, professional growth isn't one size fits all. That's why we've created 3 ways to support you. DOT for building clarity and direction, RISE for resilience and intentional action, and VISION for long-term strategy and leadership. Each program is designed to help you move through setbacks with confidence and clarity and create momentum that lasts. No pressure, no hustle, just real progress. Ready to explore what's possible? Book a free discovery call at s.a.v.e.forwardcoaching.com. All right. So let's get into it for this week's guest. When I tell you, I've been so excited to have her on my show. Dr. Marissa Robinson, okay, is the founder. We actually do have sound that comes in. We just kind of put it in afterwards. It's okay. My sis, like I said, good energy. I'm excited. Dr. Marissa Robinson is the founder of Real Health Impact, LLC, where she leads equity-driven strategies in infectious disease and public health. She also teaches at George Washington University, shaping the next generation of public health leaders. Previously, she advanced national priorities at the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, focusing on vaccines, HIV/AIDS, and reducing disparities in communities. Beyond her work, she brings joy in community through dance and loves exploring new restaurants with her husband and has a corgi named Pump. Welcome to the sanctuary, Dr. Marissa Robinson.
Thank you so very much for having me. I as you have been excited, I have too. This has been on my calendar. I have been like, okay, it's not today. It's not today. Oh, it's not today. It's not today. Oh, finally, it's today. So, girl, the feeling is mutual. The energy is reciprocated, and we don't look like what we've been through or what we're going through. Amen.
Amen. Listen, I am working on a Friday night, y'all, for Marissa. I don't work Friday nights, okay? My Friday nights are reserved for me and Dateline, and my friends will testify to this. I do not leave the house on Friday nights, okay? So this is how much I was so excited to have this conversation. Like, for real. Like, we connected, like I've shared before, I do an intake with every one of my guests, and we just really vibe during our intake. And I was excited because I felt the energy and vulnerability that I also have to share with people. And a lot of people just aren't like this. One, because we weren't taught to be like this. And so one of the reasons why I was excited to have Marissa share her story is that she was just so honest and raw about what she's been going through since her layoff. And like I highlighted in her bio, she used to work for the Department of Health and Human Services. Okay. So that's a story in itself. But we want to focus on, what she's doing now, how she's transitioning, et cetera, et cetera. However, for us to get there, we want to hear a little bit of background of why we are even here. So, Marissa, tell us what happened, sis. What happened to your job, how you were let go, et cetera, et cetera.
So, like many of the federal workforce, when the election outcomes came out last year in 2024, everyone kind of took a deep sigh, and it was like, okay, it's not the end of the world. We've been through worse. We'll be able to get through this. We're going to start the transition period, the transition process, and things started to really take off as we moved into December, and then as we all went home for the holidays. Personally, I was at the pretty much peak of my career, I would say, or like almost to the peak of my career, because I was in the middle of putting together a C-suite convening of Black women, executives, leaders of sororities, NCNW, you name it. We were trying to get them to be at a convening at the White House to talk about the importance of HIV, to talk about the importance of Black women, and how we are, like you're saying, we can only save ourselves. So what are we going to do once the administration changes, and how can we show up and support one another? And so that meeting took place on January 10th. Everything took place on January 20th, and then January 21st, things really were flipped on their heads. And it wasn't in January that people were really concerned, because really it was like a silent takeover that started like at the beginning of January. That wasn't even probably like, when I say it was uncomfortable, it was uncomfortable. And then slowly but surely we started hearing, oh, you need to come back into the office 100%. People were like, what? Excuse me? Some people have moved away. People have since been hired since COVID. People that were hired and moved away during COVID and have also been teleworking, been doing all sorts of remote work. So when they started rolling out all of this Department of Government Efficiency and things like that, that's when people really started to be like, oh my God, like
it's getting
this
real.
This is not business as usual. And then we were hearing murmurs that around, Valentine's Day, all the probationary people were going to be fired. And so they had a meeting on the 13th that was like, hey, if you're probationary, we're not really sure, but you should just be prepared. So then February 14th comes around and they're like, yeah, y'all are gone. So that was like the first real like gut punch of like, oh my God, this is not the same as it was in 2016 or 2017, 18, or 19.
Yeah. So tell the people how this is not your first time working under the current administration. You've worked under them before.
Correct. I was actually brought into the position that I was in. My more junior level was brought in under the first administration. So I went through the administration change in 2020, And then I went through the administration change in 2024, going into 2025. So I have been in the same role, or this different roles, right? Because I've gone up the ladder, but in the same office, and it was almost like a unicorn office because it was a family, it was a lot of people of color, infectious diseases, a lot of disparity work. Looked like we looked like the populations we served, and we were a very multicultural office, which we were very proud of. And so moving forward from the probationary period, March rolled around. It was 100%. You had to be in the office. There was no telework. There was no remote work. And they did like this phased approach of, it was the managers and like branch chiefs, directors, and then it was senior level, and then it was just everybody else. So I was a part of, the mid-management people that started coming back 100%. And that was probably the first time I had been back 100% since 2019.
Mm.
Like, even when we had phased approach, we were in, 2 or 3 days a week, depending on what office we were a part of. So nobody was going in 100% unless you were deemed essential. So you never really got a break during COVID. So anyway, long story short, April Fool's Day rolled around. And then they did another big rollout of, hey, we did this fork in the road and kind of this forced early retirement, and not a lot of people took it. So then April 1st rolled around, they deactivated people's badges, they riffed people, and they said, you no longer have an office, you no longer have access to the building. If you have stuff, you need to get somebody that's still working to get your stuff. And a lot of people in my office were thinking, hey, maybe this is temporary, right? Like, maybe the courts of justice will prevail. Lies. So they did not. They definitely fought. The union fought. They went back and forth. Our court case of the American Federation of Government Employees went all the way to the Supreme Court. And so they had a stay. So in June, in April, they said, our last day would be in June. We had 60 days. So in June, they had to extend it because the federal courts had ruled against it. It went up to the Supreme Court. And in July, a lot of those individuals who were riffed in April were officially fired and terminated at the end of July. So pretty much most of the year, I have been in this like mental gymnastics meet of, am I depressed? Am I happy? Am I sad? Am I gonna crash out? Am I gonna curse somebody out that doesn't even deserve it? Like I was like a tennis match, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then ultimately, when everything kind of ended in July, I was like, well, unlike some of my colleagues, I at least already was a Black woman at the end of the day. So I already had multiple streams of income, let's be clear. Because that's one thing my parents taught me is like, we have to diversify our funds. And as a Black woman, you got to work twice as hard to get half as much. We've all seen Scandal. We've seen the scene.
Yeah.
We've seen the scene where her dad is like, you have tried it. So again, and they also just launched on Netflix. Shout out to them. So if you love a Scandal girl, get your wine.
I need B613 to come save us. This is ridiculous. Come save us.
Right.
Okay. Side note. Okay, go ahead, girl.
Right. Right. But yeah, so I have been in a constant state of double dutch, figuring out what to do. And luckily I've had some really great support of my spouse, my family, people, my LinkedIn family, my virtual family, my girlfriends. And so I am very blessed that I have been able to navigate these things. But in that same breath, it has not been easy. And I want to also just underscore that as Black women, we love to be, people love to label us as resilient. And I just had this conversation with my students the other night. I said somebody was using it to describe a population of some sort of disadvantaged population and how the community was resilient and they did da-da-da-da. And I said, I'm gonna stop you right there because let's hold that. And I wanna unpack that real quick, because usually when you use the term resilient, let's take it to school real quick. When you use the term resilient, that is usually gaslighting the community that you're describing, number one. Number two, it also trauma gaslights them in the sense of it masks their trauma and or diminishes their experiences. Instead of reframing and saying that the community is resilient, why not focus on the systems of oppression that have put them in those circumstances, which have made their realities as we speak?
That's interesting that
So,
you kind of like caught them out about that, because I still look at resiliency as like something that's embedded in our DNA as part of our ability to survive. So I said this, I think I said it maybe the first episode I taped. I tell the story, it was the first episode that we taped. I tell the story of me and the group that I went with to Ghana, and they tell us when we get to the point of no return, so the gate that our ancestors
yep,
go
yep,
through,
yep. Oh, you went to
before.
Cape Coast?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Oh, girl, it was
Woo, girl. That's
emotional. Okay, that was a heavy
girl.
day. That was a heavy day.
Heavy.
Okay, and
Heavy.
the
Yes.
ancestors were there with us. I'll get into all the details of that, but what I took away from that was the ones that made it to the States, the ones that got across the ocean. They were the best of the best. They were the strongest. They had the best health. They were the smartest.
Yep.
Remember, they didn't just pick up any old slaves. They picked up the
No, they
best
picked the
of the
best.
best. And
The
so,
strongest. Yep.
yes, they're the strongest, all that stuff. So we really are derived within our genes, within our DNA, like this whole spirit of resilience. So that's interesting that you don't look at, I look at it always from the positive, but you're turning it back onto the oppressors who've had to cause us to be more resilient than most folks ever had to be. I think it's such an interesting twist. Why do you have that
Yeah.
approach?
Because I have also been called resilient in this time. And it's like, well, what options have I been given? To just roll over and be like, I'm not gonna try. I'm just gonna be the result of this one circumstance and I'm gonna let it ruin my life and my career and go into a deep dark depression and not thrive? Absolutely not. And yes, from a cultural perspective and historical perspective, our people have never had it easy. And we have always been at the hands of oppressive behavior since the beginning of time. But in the same note, it's like, why not as public health practitioners, because that's who I teach, that is what I teach, social change and collective impact and public health leadership. And a lot of what I'm teaching my students, they already know. But in terms of reframing some of the language that we use, is like, let's call out some of the colonization and the patronizing language and the whitewashing we have done for
Mm.
generations that has just been normalized because we keep doing it and we keep doing it. And so if we can break down all of these intersectionality pieces and really look at what the root of the problem is, it's not that we are resilient. It's the fact that we've had to go through so much to get so little, and yet we still are being lapped. We still don't get, even the ones that have made it, that we still aren't,
Made it.
we still are having first in 2025. We will still have first in 2026. That is bull.
Mm.
And that is by design because they didn't want us to even get what we got now. So when people call me resilient, I'm like, please don't say that.
Mm. Well, how do you want to
Because
be?
personally,
How do you want to be referred to during this time? Because we haven't even gotten to what I normally
I know.
ask, like the first 30 days, like, girl, how did you deal with the first 30 days and all that stuff? But I would love to understand during this period of time, because that happened in July. We are in November. It's been a minute. How
Yeah.
would you like to be referred to? What do you want your characterization during this time to be reflective of or described as?
I would like it to be described as dealing with an impossible situation, because that's exactly what it is, and in unprecedented circumstances and defying odds. Because the odds are, if you don't have a support system, if you don't have the resources, if you don't have a full-time job, you will fail.
Hmm.
And then you will become a statistic of, now you're using government assistance. Now you're using the resources and you not shit.
Mhm.
So if I have been able to defy all of these things that have been stacked against me, and people are seeing it and they're saying, "Hey, I want to be like you," or "I want to learn from you. I see that you are thriving in this moment and you are repivoting and you are rebranding and you are taking this opportunity and you are doing what you can and doing it well and you look good. Thank you. I'm working my ass off. I am spending money and I am investing in myself because I haven't had the opportunity to do that because of all the degrees I've gotten and because of all the jobs I've had. I've been working to make somebody else more money. I have been focusing on the wrong things. And so when you were talking in the beginning of at the top of the hour, talking about um, when you sit back and reflect, like, why is God putting us through these things? Well, first and foremost, this I think is a higher and larger issue that is happening to Black women in totality, and that was by design.
Absolutely.
And as the New York Times article has quoted, that 100, what was it, 300,000 Black women
Oh,
have
girl, we
been
up to
forced out of.
500.
Oh, great!
Oh, yeah.
So great. So now we're really showing that it's not just by happenstance that this is actually absolutely intentional. We also need to acknowledge that it's not been easy, and that when we're thinking about why God is putting us through this, I think also He's showing how ugly things can get, how bad it can get. Because I feel like when we first started this whole thing, it was like, oh, it's not that bad. It can always get worse. And then we really manifested it getting exactly worse because it's
Mhm.
like, oh, we thought that people didn't have audacity. We thought we had checks and balances. We thought we had our good government jobs and we was never going to have to work anywhere else, and we could retire and we could just go into the abyss and our parents would just know that we did our best and we got our degrees and we kept our head down and we stayed in school and we did all the things and checked off the list of all the things we were supposed to do to get to where we are. Uh, Fairy tale, dead, not true. And so now I'm looking at everybody like, huh, thought you said you could never get fired when you were a part of the government.
Hmm.
Huh, interesting. It's interesting what happens when you realize that there's a population of people who have thrived as government workers and public service. But yeah, so I think God is pushing us to new bounds. And I will say, in this time of reflection and being forced into entrepreneurship, being forced into being uncomfortable and really pushing boundaries and pushing myself and really investing in myself, I am very proud to look back on where I was earlier this year and to be here in November of 2025 and be like, you did that. You did that. Nobody can say that they you did it because of that. No, you did that because of you. And God and your family and like all these people are so proud of you because you are where you are today. You don't know what little girls are looking up to you. You don't know who's in the wings, who is in a master's program or a doctoral program, or who is going to get laid off next week or next month and is going to need resources and look for some voice and some individual to not only sympathize with them but to also give them strategy, because it's good to vent, it's good to acknowledge, but like we can't stay there. And
No.
unfortunately some people have had the luxury of just complaining and venting and just being these sob stories, and it's like I don't even have time to really resonate with that because I got to pay my bills. I have to continue on, and the
Yeah.
privilege is showing.
Oh, it absolutely is because layoffs didn't just, we know it affected us at a disproportional rate relative to our population, but we have to acknowledge, especially in my space, because I was in tech, there's been a
Yeah.
ton of tech layoffs. Amazon
Oh
just
yeah.
did one. I think they did 36,000.
Verizon just did one. We had our the line, the optic cable thing was down in our neighborhood. Our Wi-Fi was out for like a day and a half, and they just laid off 100,000 people at Verizon.
Yeah. So, but what I do see, which I think that's why I say I love what you just said, like we haven't had the luxury to like vent and get on the internet and be sad. I hardly ever see come across my timeline the, oh my gosh, I lost my job after 10 years of being with this company. I'm open and looking for work and all these like pity party. I've been looking for a job for 6 months now. I hardly ever see them, and I'm not saying they don't exist, but I do not see them from a lot of Black women. I see it from a lot of others that don't look like us, that don't have the same circumstances, kind of sitting and venting and stuff like that. But I do not see a lot of that. And personally, I never did one of those posts. And on my LinkedIn profile right now, I do not have an open to work banner because I had one for like a week and I started getting weirdos. But we aren't, I don't even think people would care if we had like a ton of those posts out. I just don't think we would get the same sympathy and reaction that other people are getting. I just don't. I don't. That's why I didn't do it.
Listen, I did a post. I launched a business. I hired some people, so that already got things like flying off my profile in my normal kind of inner circle that it normally would have went around to. So I will say that I think being vulnerable helped put me on some people's radars so they could send me jobs. But I still have it in my banner. So yes, I do attest that there are some weirdos out there. And I think with the algorithm, sometimes they just have these bots out there that are trying to like target people that are looking for jobs and that are vulnerable. And then they're like, yeah, you need a job? Here, apply to this. And then they'll ask for like your social and like other things. And now they're trying to hack your identity. So you definitely need to be careful. But I have nothing to hide. And so I have kept it up there to remind people that as you see me working, as you see me over here at this engagement, or over here at this conference, over here, I'm busting my behind and not skipping a beat because I don't have the opportunity to do that.
So that I think that's a great transition for where I want to go next. So
yeah, let's do it.
You busting your ass out here, you hustling. Okay, sis is teaching classes at what did I say? George Washington? Yeah, George Washington University. You also teach dance classes, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So we have not stopped working at all. Are you actively looking for a corporate job?
I am. I have never stopped. Actually, November 6th, started looking.
You're looking for a corporate job. Why? Because
I like the life that I have been accustomed to. And the way the bougie girl in me is like, girl, yeah, I've roughed it. Okay. I was a Peace Corps volunteer way back. So like I've done the scraping pennies together and like working for nothing. And I've done unpaid internships and I have got it out the mud. So I am no longer that girl. The girl who I am today, I'm not doing pennies. I'm not doing anything less than what I'm worth. I'm not really trying to take a job, pay cut. I am not one of those people that is just trying to get any old thing. And I know my worth. And so as I've been elevating myself this year and am not sitting over here just being the consequences of my own actions, I'm over here trying to get to the next level. I refuse to just be stagnant. So I'm doing all of these things, right? But I'm still looking for a full-time job. I wouldn't necessarily say corporate. I'm looking for my next opportunity, whether that's in corporate, whether that's in philanthropy, whether that's in nonprofit, whether that's in academia. I don't know where it's going to be. I've really been leaning into social media. I just got invited to an influencer event last night. I don't know how they found me. I don't have a whole lot of followers, but I've really been very authentic in some of my approaches to some of the stuff that I've had online. And the individuals were doing like a book signing and talking about youth and the bridge from childhood to adulthood and like this bridge of adolescence and how influencers really get a bad rap from those who are that are experiencing adolescence, and really talking about from the age ranges of 14 to 24, how that group of people gets a really bad rap and we should really be nurturing and uplifting those individuals. It was very insightful. And in my head, I was like, wow, I'm doing something, right? And people are noticing because I have an online presence. I will say that as somebody who's doing entrepreneurship and that is newer to like putting everything out there on social media, because I don't like putting all my business out there. And I do feel like you do need to have some protections there because people are nosy and people they're preying on your downfall, whether they support you or they follow you or not. Because look at your views. Your views will be high and them likes will be low. And it's because people preying on your downfall and they nosy. Anyway, but I say all that to say that it's important that if you are going to be in this new era of right now and beyond, you have to have some sort of online presence, period. Whether you believe in it or not, whether you think it's valid or not, irrelevant. Because if you're not on in some online format, you're missing out on a whole population of people in a community that may need your guidance, may love your content, or may love your personality, and you're just one opportunity away from going viral or getting the brand deals or getting those relationships built. So I will say that right now, corporate and not really. Everything under the sun, we're open. We're available.
Okay. So I think it's important that we make sure that we put this in the correct context because you are saying, hey, you're openly pursuing your entrepreneurial ventures, which is, I'm assuming you're independent as a professor. I'm assuming that you're independent as a dance instructor, but you're saying that those aren't allowing you to maintain the lifestyle that you were previously privy to as someone who worked towards those things. So do you not?
Because that's all part-time.
Okay, no, I feel that. So do you not have a path forward that will get you to that money? Like as an entrepreneur? Have you thought about it? Have you had a blueprint? Have we workshopped this? Now I'm in coach mode.
No, yes. So from the entrepreneurial business side, yes. I have a plan. Like that's going well. I'm getting contracts. I have a team. Like that's not what I'm worried about. I will eventually get the contracts that I need to make that more full time and can maybe let go of some of the things I do on the side. But I really love students. I don't necessarily want to be just in academia. I feel like it's a great pipeline to help shape young minds, but I'm not trying to be pigeonholed into that either. And I'm also a millennial. So, we don't like to stay too many places too long. And sometimes we are like, okay, this no longer serves me. I'm out. So I feel like with dance and Zumba, that keeps me in shape. And that also helps with my endorphins and that helps with my mental health. So I think that that's kind of the outlet there. And I've just also found a way to monetize it. Eventually, I want to monetize how I yap because I'm a yapper. So I eventually want to monetize how to yap and come on and do guest speaking, guest podcast episodes, all the things. So that is definitely something that I'm working towards in terms of monetizing me and my brand as an individual. But yes, in terms of corporate, I still love the fact of clocking in, clocking out. This entrepreneurial grind, it's not for the weak.
It's not, girl.
And your girl's not weak. However, it's a lot of us out here trying to get the little bits of money that are there. And no matter what niche you have, no matter how you come to this work or how you show up, it's hard. I'll just say that.
It is hard, but I do operate in an abundance mindset. There's lots of money out here to be made, y'all. I promise
There's
you,
enough.
It's more than enough for all of us to go around.
We just need to find it.
We do. We need to find it, and we have to be resourceful in sharing our resources amongst one another too.
Don't gatekeep.
Do not gatekeep. Okay. Some people, we know who they are too. Okay.
Right.
We know who they are. So let's talk a little bit about finances. So you got a severance.
Uh-huh.
Did you have your 6 months of savings?
No.
How many months did we have, Marissa?
That's a great question. I have always operated in a mindset of, I'm a convenience girl. So if I see a bag that I want, I'm going to get it. If I see something that is more convenient, if it's early check-in, I'm going to get it. If it's clear, I'm going to get it. If it's pre-check, global entry, I'm going to get it. Because you know what? We can't take it when we're dead. So I might as well spend it while I have it. My husband has the complete opposite mindset, so that's why we balance each other out. He has been very much a rock for me in this landscape of, okay, you need to slow down. Okay, are we saving? Are we budgeting? I'm like, no, but we're working on it. God's still working on me. So I feel like I am definitely in a new space of, okay, I have gotten some consultations. I don't have an accountant yet, but that is my next kind of thing, is to get an accountant and also get a retainer of a lawyer of some sort, so that I have those things on just in my toolkit. But in terms of the savings that I had going into this and this whole experience, I have a mortgage, I have a car note, I have student loans, I have all these things that never stopped just because I lost my job. And yes, I was being paid while I was riffed, which I think made some people not have sympathy for us, because they were like, "Oh, look at y'all getting paid and y'all ain't working. Y'all using taxpayer dollars." I'm sorry. Do you hear yourself? Like, I just lost my job and they literally won't give it back to me. And the way that they are doing it is they're paying me to just shut up and just deal with it. But you're okay with bashing federal workers and saying like we're jugging the system,
Mm,
blaming the victims.
blaming the victims.
It's very weird.
It's weird. And I don't think people understand the emotional toll that really you go through when you lose something that's such a huge part of your identity.
Yeah.
And part of the reason why we bonded around this whole conversation is we were both talking about our depression when we first
Yeah.
were let go. So maybe you can share some of your journey around like your mental health during that
Mm-hmm.
period.
Yeah. So, fortunately for me, I was a part of HHS. And so they did have an employee assistance program. And so with that, you did get 6 sessions where you could talk to a mental health provider. So I said, I wanted a sister, I wanted an older Black lady. I had some requirements of they needed to be in my state. So I live in Maryland, even though I work in DC. So I wanted to make sure that if I needed to transfer to their practice, that I could. And then there was no conflict of interest or anything like that. So I was able to get my 6 sessions and then also another 6 sessions, because when we were on riff, I still technically was an employee even though I wasn't working. So I was able to get 12 sessions with my therapist. And I will say that that was super important for me to stay balanced. I also had a subscription to a spa. So I would try to get massages at least once a month, or like a facial or something to like relax my body. I was still doing Zumba, so that was really important to me. I taught 2 classes during the day and then I taught one at night. So that kind of helped keep my fitness under wraps. But the drinking did get a little out of hand at one point. I was like, all right, we gotta we need to put the bottles down and start picking up the computer and start looking at jobs, because you can get into this downward spiral of like, oh my God, it's doomsday, and just be on this hamster wheel of like, it's never ending. And like, all these things are terrible for me. I'm also, my ADHD has been one of my biggest challenges of like completing tasks, and the procrastination is real. However, I will say that Dr. Judith Joseph's high functioning book has been a saving grace, as somebody who has also dealt with high functioning depression, and as somebody who is a psychiatrist and who has treated several hundreds of patients and has done a lot of clinical trials on talking about this. I think this is a great book for those of us who, Black women, by the way, who may be not able to kind of pinpoint that we're going through these things and are high functioning depressed people. And a lot of people, as Black women, we have always been high functioning. We have never had the space or opportunity to be in the space where we are physically and mentally at once. So we pray it away. We gotta suppress it because we have kids or we're the caretaker or, what's for dinner. We are worrying about everybody else, and we have our capes on, and sometimes we don't take the hose off.
No.
And we really need to. And I think in this new iteration of like line dancing and focusing on Cowboy Carter and like, this like unclenching of Black women, not focusing on all of the hemming and hawing and watching people just like go and crash out. And it's like, oh, well, y'all voted for this. This is what y'all wanted. So like nobody should be upset, but the people that didn't vote for this, but y'all voted for it. So y'all enjoy. I'm gonna be over here line dancing and minding my business and focusing on me and trying to be bigger and better versions of myself as I look to 2026. But I think there's so many resources out there for Black women. I know there's been several coalitions. A lot of the D9 sororities have done a lot for displaced workers. A lot of the state governments have tried to put out resources. Obviously, we just had the government shutdown, so there were several things that have popped up all over the US to try and help support those who have been impacted. But I will say there is no one size fits all to this shit. Like
Absolutely
for real.
not.
So whatever you need, you have to figure out what you need first before somebody can actually help you. And I think a lot of people kind of overwhelmed me when things were happening, and it was like, oh my God, how can I help? Oh my God, I'm so sorry. It was like, damn, can I grieve first before y'all like inundate me with like your sympathy?
That's
and
why.
Like, why are you?
That's why I was shocked you put, for you especially, you put it on LinkedIn. I wouldn't have done it.
But the thing was, so many people kept reaching out to me and being nosy and asking, like, yo, are you good? You still have a job? Like, da da da. I saw that HHS was in the news, and I saw that, la, 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 and I'm like, I don't want to hear it anymore. And instead of just ignoring that and responding, I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna just put it out there because HIV, the landscape of community and those we work with, it is a very small community of infectious disease researchers, infectious disease practitioners. So it's not like this is this huge network that is untouched and people don't know each other. It is a very tight-knit group of people and a very niche topic that we're all connected to. So it just seemed very naive of me to not kind of just put it out there.
No, for
and
sure.
For me personally, I'm not one to sugarcoat and act like everything's okay.
Girl, we know
and
that.
For like,
We've
I'm gonna keep it
gathered
funky.
that.
This is really above me, and I'm not about to sit here. I cried. I rolled around on the floor too. I was like, this is a joke, right? It happened on April Fool's Day. They're gonna run this back in a week, then a week, and then a month, and then 2 months went, and I said, okay, they're not playing. Like, they're serious. Like, they're not going back on their word. Like, this is really happening. And so that's, I think, so many of us that have been in this predicament that will be in this predicament, because if you are not already impacted in some form or fashion, I hate to be like the bearer of bad news, but like, it's inevitable. If we're being honest, right? If we're being honest, you being there right now is the saving grace, and that's all good and dandy. But we can't act and be naive to think that it can't happen to us anymore.
Oh, absolutely not.
It very well could happen to you. So I think people need to move accordingly, need to dust off that CV, need to go back and think about, okay, what are some skills that I can gain? I think for my job, they were really pushing us to go into LinkedIn Learning, and they gave us the licenses to get the LinkedIn Premium, and they had all these free trainings. They had trainings, job trainings. They had a PMP training. They had all these different opportunities for us to start diversifying our skills, because I think in the back of their heads, they were like, this is not business as usual. And if you're going to be kicked out, at least let us give you all the resources that you can get from us before they send you on your way. So yeah, I forgot what the question was.
It's okay, girl. But that ADHD is kicking in real quick. I got
you.
It
should be.
I got you.
In my way.
I know how to manage through it. Let's bring it back. So you mentioned your husband. You mentioned that he's been a great support to you.
Yes.
How has he shown up for you?
Oh, so many different ways. Um, First being a listener, because I'm a yapper. So he's a listener. Works out very well for me. Sometimes he's like, "Can we cut the dissertation?" I'm like, "You're right. You're right. Let's bring it back." He'll be like you, fishing rod. Let's reel it back in and let's go from A to B or B to C because that's where you were going. And now we're in D and F and let's bring it back to B and C. So I think listening is the first thing. Definitely still doing date nights, still doing things that bring me joy, still traveling, still trying to have some sense of normalcy. We delayed going on our honeymoon last year because we were in all these different weddings last year and we had our wedding last year as well. So we delayed our honeymoon, and when I got laid off, I was like, "Oh my god, like I might not be able to go on my honeymoon. This is bull. Like, I waited a whole year for this. Like, oh my God." So we did end up getting to go on our honeymoon.
Where'd you
And
go?
because we budgeted and saved,
Yes.
we right. I knew you would love that. We went to the Dominican Republic. We went to Punta Cana. And it was so funny because everybody thought we spoke Spanish. I was like, "Nope, un poquito," but I'm an
We black.
ally. I will try to speak Spanish with you. I know a few things, but I speak French. So
Okay.
that's kind of my special talent. But I will say that he also is somebody who was really optimistic for me. And then when things started really showing that it wasn't happening at all, he was like, "Okay, why don't you look here? Why don't you look there? Like, I'm going to reach out to some contacts." And it was like just really supportive in trying to help me find something and helping to motivate me when I didn't feel like motivating myself. Picking up things where he can, if it's doing laundry, if it's doing the dishes, if it's just picking up things that normally I would do, like folding the laundry, because I'll do it, but it'll sit there and not get folded. And slowly but surely, when it gets out of hand, I'm like, this is a telltale sign that I'm spiraling out of control. And
Mm.
sometimes it's those subliminal messages that you have to let your partner know and remind them. Like, if you see these things that are normally together, like the living room being straight or like the kitchen being cleaned or something, and you see that it hasn't been done in like 2 or 3 weeks, I don't know why men are a little slow sometimes. It really bothers me
Listen,
sometimes.
it's
But
okay.
they do their best. But I had to like just tell him like, "Hey, I can't do everything because I'm trying to stay afloat and survive. So I need you to pick up the slack." And he was 100% like, "I got you." And so every now and again, you might need a little friendly reminder, but we have done, I think, a really good job at communicating, at me letting him know, like, "Hey, I didn't got it. I need you to help me with it." And he has been 1,000% like, "I got you." And that's what a marriage is about, right? Like, for good or for worse, for rich or for poor. Like,
I'm not there,
why
sis.
did
I
we get?
support you though. I'm not
Uh,
married. So to the married people that are listening, I hope that what Marissa's describing is the correct thing because we single people don't comment on married folks' business. But
okay,
yeah.
okay.
So um, you talk about being, newly married, honeymoon. I'm sure the question comes out up a lot like, do you plan to have children? How has this
Oh,
impacted your ability to have children? Are you okay with sharing that part?
girl, you know what really irks me? It's like, somebody posted this the other day. It was like, everybody is in your business and wants you to get to the next level. It's like, once you get in a relationship, when you gonna get married? Once you get married, when you gonna get a house? Once you get a house, oh, when you gonna have kids? Once you have the kids, oh, when you gonna have your second kid? It's like, y'all can never be freaking happy for where I am right now. And fortunately enough for me, I am a twin. I have a twin brother. And thank the Lord, sweet baby Jesus, I have a beautiful niece. She is now going on 6 months. She will be 6 months on Monday. And I'm like, good. My parents can look over there and mind my business alone because it is not in the cards for me right now. And I wish so much that people would take their hands off women's ovaries and their bodies and what they have going on in terms of if they want to have kids or not. I'm not saying that I don't want to have them. I just feel like so many people have given me their unsolicited opinions about, "Oh my God, this is the a perfect time to have a kid. Like, you don't have a job, you don't have to report to anybody. Like, you can just raise your baby and you can. I didn't ask you. So actually, I'm good. Thank you so much, but no. And like, I'm okay. And when I'm ready to have a child, I will be ready to have one. But right now, I think I have a little bit other of priorities that are at the top of my list right now. And it's like people be pocket watching.
Mm.
So while you're watching my pockets and watching me do all these different events and get invited to all of these things, you're also like, well, when are you gonna have a baby? It's weird. It's very weird.
Okay. Do not ask Marissa about her family planning. Check noted. All right, so we got to wrap it up.
Okay.
What is your ask from the community? What do you want? How do you want to be saved?
So I think in terms of how I want to be saved is to give me grace. Because as much as I, am unfiltered sometimes to my own demise, I really have a good heart and I really mean well. And even though my bluntness can sometimes be off putting for some, is inviting to others, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. But in this time of being vulnerable and sharing this with you all, with your audience, with those who will view it live, with those who see the recording, whether it's right now or in a few months from now, I'm a lifetime learner. So I'm still learning as I go. I don't have all the answers, but I've been through a lot of shit. I've seen a lot of shit. And quite candidly, I'm a PhD of my own lived experience, right? Like I have the academic experiences, I have the lived experiences, and just because I'm a millennial doesn't mean that I don't have the expertise or the knowledge to give somebody who's older than me some advice.
Fair.
And I'll leave that there.
All right. Thank you, Marissa. You've been a lot of fun, girl.
I know. I feel like you had so many questions, and I was just like, so anyway, we're going over here, and oh, we need to come back here, and oh, wait,
Listen, we got a good edit button over here. Don't worry, we'll
right,
formalize it. We'll get it together.
good, good. Hopefully, the folks will be entertained, and you will have enjoyed this whole experience.
Listen, I'm just grateful you decided to share. Thank you so much.
Yes, of course. Thank you.
Awesome. So let's close it out. So for this week's Save strategy, we're going to focus on the E today. Elevate. Elevate yourself, okay? Sometimes you got to be your own hype woman, okay? Elevation does not equate to arrogance, but it's the realization and acknowledgement of the gifts that you have been blessed with. So how dare you not share your gifts with the world? How dare you not talk about your greatness? Why are we downplaying all our multiple million degrees that we have, Black women? You know you are the shit. I want you to walk and stand in it for a minute, Not only if you talk your shit a little bit, or not only not talking your shit a little bit, does a disservice to people who may be in service of what you offer. It insults God who's blessed you with them. Very holy today. So you work hard, sis. It's okay to talk your shit. And with that, it is the end of the episode. Follow us on all social media. Black Women Will Save Black Women. We're on YouTube. Subscribe, like, all the stuff. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc., etc. Remember, support, amplify, validate, elevate. That's how we save. And never forget, Black Women Will Save Black Women. I'm your host, Kamika Dillard. Thanks for coming to the sanctuary. See you next time.